Kick-ass facts. Even more women who pretended to be men to do cool shit. Pew, 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 pew. This filter's called Older Sexy Man. Couldn't even look at myself. Alisa Bromm, I hope, disguised herself as a man so she could join the Swedish army when her country was fighting Russia in 1808 and 1809. She worked as a maid when she met the soldier Bernard Servenius when he was stationed in Stockholm. They fell in love and they married. But when his regiment left to fight, Alisa decided she wanted to live and die with her husband, so she disguised her gender and enlisted in the army. She proved to be a capable soldier. She was decorated for her bravery in battle. She reportedly collected ammunition and gave it to her fellow soldiers. When her secret was revealed, she was fired from her post. Her husband was believed to have been killed in action, but was later found to be a prisoner of war. They were reunited in Stockholm following the war. Alisa is not the only woman to serve in the Swedish army, but she is one of the few who were ever recognized for her bravery in battle. James Barry, born Margaret Ann Bulkley, 1789 to 1865, was a military soldier in the British Army. Originally from the city of Cork in Ireland, Barry obtained a medical degree from the University of Edinburgh Medical School, then served first in Cape Town, South Africa, and subsequently in many parts of the British Empire. Before retirement, Barry had risen to the rank of Inspector General in charge of military hospitals, the second highest medical office in the British Army. Barry not only improved conditions for wounded soldiers, but also the conditions of native inhabitants, and performed the first recorded cesarean section by a European in Africa in which both the mother and child survived the operation. Although Barry's entire adult life was lived as a man, Barry was named Margaret Ann at birth and was known as a female in childhood. Barry lived as a man in both public and private life, to be accepted as a university student and to pursue a career as a surgeon. Barry's anatomy became known to the public and military colleagues only after a post-mortem examination. Born Amantine Lucille Aurore Dupin, perhaps, 1804 to 1876, she took the pen name George Sand and was one of the most popular writers in Europe in her lifetime, with her novels outselling Victor Hugo's works in England in the 1830s and 1840s. Sand adopted the pen name, refusing to be limited to being a woman writer. The pseudonym was a disguise that allowed Sand to move freely and thrive in the Parisian literary arena of the 1830s. The tone of her novels was subversive, with a theme of androgyny often highlighted in the stories. Sand was one of the most notable 19th century women who chose to wear male attire in public. In 1800, the police issued an order requiring women to apply for a permit in order to wear male clothing. She did so without a permit, justifying the action by arguing that dress worn by noblewomen was far too expensive. What was more important for Sand, however, was that wearing male dress made her invisible and no longer the object of the male gaze. Called the best whip in California, Charlie Parkhurst, 1812 to 1879, was a legendary six-horse stagecoach driver during California's gold rush. She was also known as One-Eyed Charlie and Six-Horse Charlie. The job was dangerous and not for the faint of heart, hauling cargoes of gold through open desert, over steep mountain passes, under constant threat of desperados and Mother Nature. Parkhurst was short and stocky, wore a black eye patch, drank whiskey, and smoked cigars. Atta fucking girl. When Parkhurst died alone in a cabin in 1879, a doctor discovered that the famous stagecoach driver was actually a woman named Charlotte Parkhurst. She was born in New Hampshire and abandoned by her parents. It is believed that she ran away from an orphanage dressed as a boy and wound up in Massachusetts, where she worked cleaning horse stables. She found a mentor who taught her how to handle horses. After working as a stagecoach driver in the East Coast for several years, she journeyed west and arrived in San Francisco around 1850 to 1851, where she quickly earned her reputation. By the late 1860s, stagecoaches were being replaced by trains, so Parkhurst retired and opened a saloon. She also worked as a lumberjack in Northern California. It is rumored that she may have been the first woman to vote in a presidential election in California in 1868, after she died of tongue cancer in 1879. That sounds very unpleasant. Doctors discovered that Charlie Parkhurst was in fact a woman and had given birth at some point.